Intense rain that's falling with this. It's, as Angela's been saying, about to approach the 465 side on the northeast side of town. So Interstate 69, Benford Boulevard, we're looking at it. A couple of things I did notice while Angela was tracking, there were a couple of these pixels that popped up, and I'm going to hold it here for just a moment because I'm waiting for the next scan, which is probably going to push that farther to the north and east over Lawrence. There were just a couple of very tight scans here. Sometimes with this type of storm, it's a little difficult to determine what is noise and what is not noise with the velocity. You kind of look for any little bit that you can find. I'm actually just going to swap out to my different computer system just to set that up, just to show you, because I want to get in really close. If I can give you a street-by-street analysis of where this is, that's certainly what I want to do. The area that we were tracking, and I'll go back to that view, the area that we were tracking right there, but it's hard to tell until we get in a little bit closer exactly what part of town we're in. So let me show you some street level data here. This is East 34th Street. This was Interstate 70. We saw that picture a little bit earlier, and getting in even closer. And again, I'm waiting for the scan to update. What this implies to me, these red pixels, kind of a pinkish color right next to these green pixels, is there might have been some minor circulation here. It's hard to tell whether or not this is noise or whether or not we actually had some type of rotation. And then eventually, as we move to the north and east, we're talking about 38th Street. Eventually on the east side of town, you're looking at Arlington Avenue here. The colors here may be a little difficult to discern until I zoom out a bit, but that's the area where I'm trying to get ahead of where the storm itself is located. If I go back to the regular radar, you'll get a little bit of a better view of what we're looking at here when it comes to the intense rain with this. Anything that is in here, if there is some type of circulation, it is going to be extremely rain wrapped and you're not going to be able to see it. We've been watching the cameras. It almost just becomes visibility down to zero when you're looking at that type of situation. Farther to the north and east, we're talking about McCordsville eventually getting in on this. Allisonville, the heavy rain has happened. 465 on the east side. If the desk is listening and they want to move some of those cameras, 465 on the east side is a good place to start. Also Interstate 69 heading north towards Fishers, because that's where the tornado warning is still in place and is going to continue as the storm races to the northeast. Although it's not moving terribly quickly compared to what we have seen. I think Angela said northeast at 40. So good news is we can give you a good bit of heads up with this. Quickly, let me switch back and see if my new scan has come in of the velocity, because this really gives me an idea of where, if there is any rotation, where that latest rotation is. It's looking much improved. So this is a bit of good news, but I don't want us to let our guard down just yet because there's still some areas that we're going to be tracking here. Let me actually zoom out a bit. It's a little bit difficult to tell what side of town we're on. This is Interstate 69, 465. We still have the tornado warning in place. There is also a destructive thunderstorm warning in place. And what I mean by that is National Weather Service saw that there were some gusty winds potentially as high as 80 miles per hour. See the darker, kind of broader outline to this part of the storm. This is where our concern was. The winds don't look nearly as strong as they were really even 10 minutes or so ago. So it may be that this system is weakening, but boy, when it moved through, it was quite the storm. And I'll put this into motion and you can see there was a little bit of a speck here where it started to rotate right about there. In fact, I'm going to step off camera real quick and just see if I can stop it at that time when we did see that rotation, because that was where we were most concerned. Right about there, right as it was crossing Interstate 65 close to say 30th to say 38th Street, we had a couple of these brighter spots show up where the winds were likely up over 70 or 80 miles per hour. Again, a couple of bits of good news. We haven't seen anything confirmed at the moment. I haven't yet heard of any damage reports. Let's hope that there isn't any. But boy, what showed up on radar was quite impressive. A couple things I want you to understand real quick, and then we'll go back to Angela here. The base severe thunderstorm warning, when this started out, the National Weather Service issued because of this 58 mile per hour winds. The storm strengthened. They added this considerable tagging. You got to 70 mile per hour winds. Then your phones went off even before the tornado warning came out, and it's because they went up to this destructive level. When that happens, see the asterisk there, it activates the weather emergency alert on your smartphones because they were expecting either 80 mile per hour winds or baseball size hail, but hail hasn't been a concern. That's why your phone went off even before the tornado warning came out. However, we still do have the tornado warning that's in place until 5:15 and the severe thunderstorm warning that has the destructive tag to it for essentially the same area, but encompasses maybe just a little bit more area, say McCordsville down to areas to the south right along Interstate 70. Angela, any new information that's been coming across for your side?
Rob, now at 5 o'clock, we are tracking, as you've been mentioning, a destructive thunderstorm, potentially a tornado-producing thunderstorm. And yes, we are starting to get a couple of storm reports in at this point. We had a semi blown over in Monrovia. We had a near 60-mile-per-hour wind gust at the airport in Indianapolis, and that's right before this storm became destructive with that tornado potential with perhaps 80-mile-per-hour winds. We're going to continue to wait to see if we get any additional storm reports coming in, but we are tracking these storms for you here at 5 o'clock. What you see on radar, we still have the tornado warning in effect for the northeastern sections of Marion County into southeastern portions of Hamilton County. Fishers, you are in the path. If this would hold together, LaPel, Pendleton, Anderson. So this could eventually impact the southern sections of Madison County. We have the destructive severe thunderstorm warning in effect. We also still at times have had that tornado warning in effect, although it appears they have just dropped that from the National Weather Service, as we've seen not weakening necessarily, but not that tight rotation or the really big spikes in those velocities that were indicating that potential of 80-mile-per-hour winds. I would still treat this as a storm that could produce a tornado if you are in Lawrence, if you are in Castleton now. This storm is now impacting the 465 loop on the northeast side, Allisonville Road, the Keystone area, Meridian, and then south into Lawrence over toward the Castleton area as well. Again, destructive severe thunderstorm warning, and this one will eventually make its way toward LaPel and Pendleton. The storm reports, we've got a couple coming in, so we will let you know that. That was one really right as this storm intensified. Severe thunderstorm wind damage in Monrovia. This happened at about 4:15. A semi truck was blown over. It intensified even more as it was near the airport, near 60-mile-per-hour wind gust. And then I can tell you, Rob was tracking this, and it intensified even more as it entered the southwestern sections of Marion County into downtown. Saw that potential for 80-plus mile-per-hour winds, and that was the reason National Weather Service went destructive severe thunderstorm warning on it. So if you were in the vicinity of this, phones went off, and then not shortly after, the tornado warning was issued. I am going to put a track on this storm to give you an idea of where we expect it to go. It has been moving off to the northeast at about 40 miles per hour. And then we'll check a couple of our cameras as well. They've been very helpful so far late this afternoon and early this evening on showing just how strong the winds are, how heavy the rain is. Rob mentioned it, visibilities at times with these storms near zero. And I'm going to do this in a couple of parts. We'll start northeast portions of Marion County, and this is the part that will go toward the Fishers and Pendleton area, moving northeast at about 40 miles per hour. Hawthorne Hills in the path, Fall Creek in the path. It's basically overhead now. Hardscrabble, Stony Creek, Pendleton within a half hour. So you still have a little bit of time to prepare for this storm. And we'll do the southern part of this cell as well. This one is just south of Lawrence. So the southern part of this storm, again, moving northeast at about 40, puts it into Mount Comfort in the next couple of minutes. There's a regional airport over there as well. Eastgate in 14. And again, Pendleton in that 20-30 minute time frame. And it is one of several storms that we're tracking. This by far the most dangerous storm that is impacting Marion and eventually into southern Hamilton and southern Madison counties. But you can see with radar we have additional storms over toward Muncie, Winchester into Portland, and then south. Get you caught up on this radar, and then we'll get over to Rob for some additional analysis. Greenwood getting hit hard. No warnings here, but some intensification of this storm. Western sections of Johnson County. So heads up, Trafalgar, Franklin, you will be in the path of this storm in the next few minutes, and this extends all the way south into western Brown, southeastern Monroe County, right over Lake Monroe, and then eventually down into the Bedford area. So a very active radar at this point. We knew we were under that low end threat of severe weather, but boy, we had one destructive, dangerous storm really take over late this afternoon and early this evening. It's the reason our coverage continues right now. I do want to give you a couple of camera views. So this is going to be Interstate 69. This is going to be just north of 465. You can see just how dark this view is. Visibility is near zero. The rain rain continues to come down, and unfortunately this storm is coming at a point where we have lots of people on the roads for this afternoon and evening drive. And honestly, this is a dangerous place to be when we're dealing with a storm like this. And if you are at home watching this storm, for you especially parts of northeastern Marion, southern Hamilton, southern Madison counties, treat this as if this storm could produce a tornado. 80-mile-per-hour winds. Lowest level is going to be the safest place for you. But boy, it looks like the dead of night here along Interstate 69 and obviously having an impact on traffic. So if you have a loved one on the roads, unfortunately, they're dealing with a dangerous storm at this hour, Rob, that continues to move off to the north and east.
Yeah. Okay. So let's a couple of updates here that we just got from the National Weather Service. We talked about this destructive severe thunderstorm warning. It's the reason why many of you got the alert on your phone in addition to the tornado warning. They've now brought this down one notch to the considerable tagging here because 70-mile-per-hour winds are still a concern. They've also trimmed the box back just a little bit. One quick note, though, in that wording, they still have some tornado possible tagging here, which means that given the fact that this had a little bit of minor rotation earlier and how quickly it spun up, they're still concerned that as this moves north and east, we'll have to keep an eye on it for that possibility that it could produce a tornado. That's going to include Hamilton, Hancock, and Marion until 5:30 for that warning. They'll probably extend this to the north and east. It's essentially following Interstate 69 as it moves north and east at about 40 miles per hour. A couple things I've also been noticing, in addition to the very heavy rain that's falling from Fishers to say all the way down to Cumberland. Eventually this is going to get into Greenfield. We do have some gusty winds within that, but we also have seen these little bit of notching kind of appendages that come out ahead of this. A lot of times when we see that, it's a good sign that there's some gusty winds trying to push out ahead of the storm when you see that type of radar configuration. But the good news is I'm not quite seeing that on the velocity signature on radar. Having said that, when this was right over the city, we had a much better view of it. It's a little bit further away from the radar, but I'm a little bit encouraged by the weakening state of this. We will also have to keep an eye on any little pockets of some minor rotation or any fluctuation in the winds to see what happens from there. Mount Comfort Road, we were looking at there at Interstate 70. This is at mile marker 96 here. Again, the winds have been pretty concerning when this pushed through. It looks like much more of a heavy rain scenario at the moment. Definitely on the weakening side of this storm, but if you're in Fishers, over to Mount Comfort as well, these are the areas that we're most concerned about. And very quickly, just in case this comes up again later in the day, your phone will go off, your smartphone will go off. Obviously, if there's a tornado warning, you've heard that a lot of times. The National Weather Service has put out these different levels of severe thunderstorm warnings. When we're under these two levels, which essentially are for the winds for today. Hail is a concern too at times with severe thunderstorm warnings, but today it's the winds. We were up to 70 miles per hour, which is the current warning that's in place. But if we get up to that destructive severe thunderstorm warning, one, we as a weather team treat it like a tornado warning. We will cut in. We expect that it is essentially a tornado warning at that point because winds are expected to be 80 miles per hour. But that's also why your weather emergency alert on your smartphone is activated, because of that severe thunderstorm warning that had the destructive tagging with it, not the considerable tagging, which is just a step down, which is what we're tracking right now. And again, these are the areas that we're most concerned about. Hail is not as much of a concern. It's expected to possibly be there, but less than 3/4 of an inch in diameter. That is not severe criteria, and that warning will go until 5:30. Again, we're tracking this moving to the north and east. I'm going to hand it back over to Angela here to see if there's anything along with this. We'll start to get maybe back into throwing in some news here until we get this out of the city, though. We're going to keep an eye on it pretty closely, as right now it does appear, Angela, to me that it's on the weakening side, but still a very dangerous storm. A
very dangerous storm, and we are starting to get a couple of pictures in from the National Weather Service, thanks to emergency managers. This one was near 16th and Mount Calm Street in Indianapolis. We'll try to get a couple of these pictures turned around for you, but it's a big tree on its side. We had a dangerous storm move through parts of Marion County just within the last 15-20 minutes or so. As Rob mentioned, it is weakening, so we're going to take just a bit of a step back. We're going to get you over to Anne Marie and Dustin to the news of the day, but don't go anywhere. I'm going to continue to keep you updated on the storms as they move through central Indiana this evening.
All right, Angela, thank you. And you can now stream our new live local radar 24/7, especially valuable to have when we have active weather systems like this in the area.
Yeah, that's where you can watch the storm as it rolls in. You can watch it almost down to your block anytime, around the clock, and check the forecast whenever you want. It is free. You can stream it right now on WTHR+.
So we have Rob and we have Angela that are in the Weather Center tracking all the developments, and we may go back to them as warranted as the weather situation develops.
We're also monitoring power outages because of those
Correct.
strong winds. AES Indiana right now reporting about 9,000 power outages, and that will likely go up as the evening rolls on.
Our assignment desk is also gathering some images of people that have storm damage. So if you want to send those in to us, and we can share those and verify those as well. We hope that you've made it through without any property damage and everyone's getting home safe and sound.